the top.
Nothing left for me to hate, so I can lay me down, my brothers, on the ground. I bled today until Coyote comes to raise me up and carries me.
Hello and welcome to the Scottish Rugby Podcast. I hope you're all doing well. I'm Craig. I'm no longer a Scottish Rugby fan. I'm no longer any type of rugby fan. I would rather just sit here and talk about why Claudia and Tess are leaving Strictly Come Dancing. I've just decided that, and I'm sure you'll hear more about this later. And so I'm just here as a vessel to look after these two gentlemen that are joining me tonight. These two are devastated that Scottish Rugby have not named a suite after them, a hospitality suite after them. Now, the doctor's surgery would fit perfectly for Alan McDonald, and the Badgers set would be work really, really well for Mark Riley. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome. How are you doing? And I said good evening, and I'm proud to say good evening because I don't care anymore. Anyway.
Someone just needs to give Craig a hug. Someone give Craig a hug. Craig, we're doing better than you are.
Yes, I'm just, can we talk about something else? Oh no, I've got to talk about rugby all tonight. It's just, can we talk about something else? Is there something that, like, I don't even want to talk about Christmas, but that's close as well. My life is ruined.
It's all fun.
Yeah, what you guys been up to this week?
I've not had work last weekend, so I have not been up to much, I have to say. Other than watching far too many episodes of Down Cemetery Road last night, because we put one on to see what it was like, and then suddenly I was like, I've got to go to bed.
You see, I've been thinking about that, watching that, and I've been, because I'm a Slow Horses fan, and I found Slow Horses when I worked on the road. I was a regional manager, so I discovered the audiobooks, and I basically have, and I'm a big, massive fan of Slow Horses, and this is meant to be, it's written by the same guy, so I'm quite excited about it. Although I'm halfway through Landman at the moment. With
That's meant to be sort of good fun in a kind of total nonsense way.
Oh yeah, it's like if Yellowstone was it's the same guy that did Yellowstone, but like if you like Yellowstone for what Yellowstone was, and I quite like Yellowstone for what it was, and I like the spin-offs, etc. This is just absolutely crazy and nuts. So it's almost popcorn viewing, I suppose. But
fair. We could switch to TV reviewing.
Sorry, what's that, Alan? Missed that.
We could switch to TV reviewing if you don't want to talk about rugby, Craig. I have opinions.
Well, Craig and I were going to come on and just talk about motorbikes.
Yeah.
Rugby.
Absolutely. I'm just a motorcyclist now. I'm no longer anything interested in rugby or anything. I've just had enough. But one thing first I would like to say, and this is a non-apologetic thing, I'm just going to take 2 seconds here. Where is it? I better put this up first of all. Yeah, that's the woke klaxon. You will find out that this podcast, we are a little bit woke. And when I say woke, we're just happy to be friends for everybody. And we don't really care who you are. But there are a couple of podcasts out there that are just being a bit ridiculous at the moment and pretty awful, actually. So I just want you to understand that if you are listening for the first time, we're not going to say anything that's going to upset you when it comes to anything to do with gender or anything to do with anything like that. But I tell you what we might do is we might offer a couple of opinions that might upset you about Edinburgh Rugby, Glasgow Rugby, mainly Edinburgh Rugby, and Scottish Rugby fans. So there we go. Well, just a small public announcement on that side of things. While we're at it, our podcast is part of the Sports Social Network. Don't forget to give us a follow or a like on your favourite podcast app. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and don't forget to give us a follow on social media. You can find all the links on our site, www.scottishrugbyblog.co.uk. If you're listening on Apple and like what we do, well, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts as well. If you'd like more content and want to support what we do, you can subscribe to our Patreon from £3 a month, and that gives you access to a super secret Facebook group and the second part of tonight's podcast, as well as Patreon exclusives. And tonight's second part, our Patreon podcast tonight, has got a little Santa special in it. So everyone can, if you want to join us and pay us a little bit of money, because as you know, as things are in this life at this moment in time, things are quite expensive to run and to do, and unfortunately we have to pass it on a little bit or ask her for a little bit of help. So I will stop yapping now because I've had enough of rugby chat and all this, and I'll turn it over to Mark and Alan. News from this week, we have a new women's rugby coach, gentlemen. Sione Fukufuka announced as the head coach of Scotland Women. He's coached Aussie women and men's sevens. He was assistant coach at the Wallaroos, and now and also he was head coach of the USA for the Women's World Cup. A guy that seems to have a bit of nous about him, I think, Alan.
Yeah, decent pedigree. Actually, they've not done the classic SRU thing of we've done a worldwide search and got the person 2 doors down. So, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. USA, I think, played some decent rugby in the Women's Rugby World Cup. So excited to see how they get on, and also how long how long it takes for the tabloid press or the press to make his name into a slightly dodgy pun headline.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to go down that route, but seeing as the king of puns or the prince of puns that we have, Alan McDonald, this year, I'll give you till the end of the podcast tonight to come up with a pun on his name, and that will be in one of the Santa's special secrets in the Patreon, Alan, because you've got to come up with something. But I am concerned that he may do a deal with the Safara because he is from Australia at the moment, and he did leave. Mark, he did leave USA women, citing that he wanted to go back to Australia to spend more time with his family, etc. So I think it was either yourself or Alan that mentioned in our wee podcast chat that he might have a bit of contract wranglings there. She's telling people, "Oh, I'm going to go off and be this, that, and the other," and then all of a sudden, "Ooh, I'm the Scotland coach."
Yeah, going off to spend time with his family and then moving even further away from them seems quite interesting. But yeah, maybe he left the USA 4 months ago, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's enough. And I was going to make a play on his name, but maybe he's going, I've had enough of this, and I'm now going to go and spend more time away because I get on better with my wife from the other side of the world.
What are you going to say? He was going to go and fuck off?
Pretty much.
Well, Sione, we love people. In Scotland, we love people called Sione. So I hope you get on great. I hope you do everything that you expect to do with Scotland women, because we are huge support and good luck with the role. Scott Cummings, Alan, has signed for the foreseeable future. Again, Scottish Rugby slip in there with a cryptic message, as they usually do, with Glasgow. He's approaching 50 caps for Scotland, and he's 148 for Glasgow at the moment, I believe. Also British and Irish Lion. Scott Cummings, with his tiny hands, has managed to find an Argos pencil to sign his new contract for the foreseeable future, Alan. That's got to be good business, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a cracking bit of business. There's a lot of good second rows coming out of Scotland at the moment, a position where we've really struggled. But really, Scott Cummings is probably just behind Grant Gilchrist in terms of being the elder statesman. And Grant Gilchrist, his longevity's been excellent, but he's not going to go on forever. So hanging on to the seniors, the person that's very soon going to be the senior Scottish lock, I think is a good bit of business.
Yeah, and Mark, it's his boyhood club. He's always wanted to play there. He's played there all his rugby life. He is a well worth paying the big money for Glasgow to keep him. They're certainly not going to ruin him like Edinburgh probably would. But Grant Gilchrist, with those younger Glasgow players coming through, second row players coming through, he, just as Alan says, he will be the elder statesman, but he will bring a huge amount of experience to the Scotland squad and to Glasgow as usual.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no question he's a superb player. Alan's right, there are some younger guys coming through, but we need to still have some experience in there. I mean, my previous inclination was that Gilchrist would be coming close to hanging up his international boots, and the pairing would be, I thought, Cummings and Max Williamson, but with the incredible rise of Gregor Brown, it may end up being him. Now I know he's a kind of a 5-6 option, but if we have him at 5 and Liam McConnell in at 6, that's a fairly superb set for several years in the future. So yeah, I'm chuffed a bit. So I'm kind of torn that, I'm always slightly wary of people becoming a one club person in this day and age. But realistically, if Cummings is going to keep his form, then why not keep it at Glasgow? You know.
Yeah, absolutely, and just as you've we're talking about elder statesmen, we seem to have forgotten about Johnny Gray, Alan. He's still playing and doing a good job with Bordeaux, but he's.
I actually went and looked at the Bordeaux lineups and looked at his stats because I was like, I was actually worried that Johnny Gray, we were going to just get an announcement that he'd retired and we'd do that. We would get we thought he already had joke, but actually he seems to be playing quite well for Bordeaux Begley. So maybe he's still there for Scotland. It feels like maybe he's not, but he turned down the chance to hold tackle bags before the World Cup. But we'll see.
Yeah, his brother knows how to do that. Turn down the chance to hold tackle bags as well. So, but then his brother does also know how to return to Glasgow for that big paycheck at the end of his playing career. So, an inevitable bit of news, but also a bit like, oh damn it, Mark, is Bowen Venter is leaving Edinburgh for the Emirate Lions. Now,
who saw that coming?
Yeah. We all kind of saw that coming, and it's kind of inevitable. However, it kind of shows how desperate he is to leave Edinburgh, considering he's going to the worst of the South African teams.
Yeah, I'm slightly surprised about that. I'm slightly surprised that none of the other South African teams offered him a gig, because he's not filling starting boots for the Springboks yet, but he's definitely in consideration for good games.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe the Sharks or such would come after him. But then you don't know what's going on with the politics in South African rugby. Maybe they're trying to bolster the Lions.
Well, you also, because they are saying that the Lions are a team in flux at the moment because they're going to hopefully becoming better, and they've got a new coach, and that coach is spending a bit of time with them. They've got a lot of young players coming through as well, which Bowen Venter, I'm sure, will add to the experience of them. But Alan, he's someone who. Obviously, well, the chat is that he was brought over to be another project player like Pierre Schumann. I have to say that all the time now; it's a trademark. He was brought over, but then Razzie got to him and took him on, which of course he's got every right to do so. But he has got fairly good scrummaging chops and has done a great job for Edinburgh.
Yeah, I mean, he's a loss. There's no doubt about it. I think this is one where all sides are happy. To be honest, I don't see the SRU being thrilled at having to pay his salary when he's not potentially a Scotland player.
Yeah,
it does leave Edinburgh short of loose heads, but it's a case of. And I think we might see Jamie Batty, Davy McPhersoning his way back across the M8 next season. Scottish qualified loosehead, or maybe the return of Ollie Kebble to play for Edinburgh.
No, I think. Well, the thing is, and what I would maybe say, and this is a completely outside take, and anyone who's listening. You might turn and go, "You're joking me, right?" And we don't know this at all. But what you might find is that Newcastle, with their new money, may sign a couple of world-class props. And I'm not saying that Murray McCallum is not world-class. Murray McCallum has done a phenomenal job down at Newcastle, and was and friend of the pod, Murray McCallum, and we're all incredibly proud of where he was when Mooster went pop and where he's got to now. But you might find that if they spend a lot of money in their forwards, etc., bringing in what they maybe perceive as higher quality or younger props, then Murray might come back up to Edinburgh. You never know.
Do you think he play loose for Edinburgh, or do you think he's stay tight? Or
well, he plays both, so it's one of those situations where it's always the problem you have is you might be at a Murphy Walker side of things where you can play both sides, but Townsend still doesn't like you. So you just don't know. You just don't know.
Do we think that a prop playing both sides is as valid a positive as it used to be? Now that you can keep 3 front rowers on the bench,
I tell you where it is. I tell you where it's valuable. World Cup squads, because you don't need an extra prop. You can lose one prop if you can get someone that plays both sides. That's why Townsend had Simon Bergen doing a few of the warm-up games, spending a bit of time at loose head to see if he could hack it there.
For sure. Yeah.
So I think it doesn't matter on the bench. Matters in the World Cup squad, and it frees up for other players.
Well, Bowen, enjoy your time. Thank you for your time in Edinburgh. You may not be leaving Edinburgh in the better state than when you joined it, but you are leaving Edinburgh as a better prop than when you joined us. So thank you very much for your time. Staying with the Capital Club, Liam McConnell has just announced as well he's signed a 2-year contract extension. Now, there you go. Edinburgh not messing about. 2-year contract extension, none of this for the foreseeable future. So the under-20s captain has had his Scotland debut this year, and joins Ollie Blythe-Lafferty, Tom Curry, Conor McAlpine, and Freddie Douglas as the youth to watch at the Edinburgh. Mark, I'm pleased that he's signed that contract. Obviously they're trying to keep him in the SRU way, but I think it's good to have him there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a solid bit of business. He's got potentially a very high ceiling. He's coming on really, really well, and he's got that bit of a dog about him that we really, really need.
Yeah.
And to know he's so young. I mean, he was under 20s at the same age as Obel. So he's 2021, something like that.
He's 21 at the moment, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for him to be coming on so well at that age, he's potentially got a great future ahead of him. So no, I think that's a fabulous piece of business for Edinburgh.
The mentality that he showed when he got hit in the face by Dave Ribbons and didn't react, didn't throw up, he just turned and looked at the touch judge like that, and it just felt like he'd totally played Ribbons. But for a young guy not to get hit up and just sort of go, "What about that then, sir?"
Yeah. It would be so easy for him to swing back.
Also, when you were calling Mr. Blythe-Lafferty Obel, how about Obelix as a nickname, as an asterisk?
Yes.
The Obelix would have been a great tight head, wouldn't it?
That did occur to me.
Yeah, I can hear I can hear all the youth that tune into our podcast busily typing on their keypads to say, "Who the hell is Asterix and Obelix?"
I'm fairly certain that the Edinburgh game against Toulon, I heard one of the second rows calling him Obel.
Yeah.
When they were packing down, they said, "Don't worry, Obel, I got you."
Well, he's definitely, Edinburgh definitely seem to have a lot of youth coming through, and they're starting to use them now. And we'll maybe talk about that later when we come to the Edinburgh game. But definitely a great bit of business. He was, as I said, that Toulon game, he was player of the match as well. So really excited about it. A really exciting player, and as with everything, Edinburgh, the exciting player will probably end up playing for Glasgow at some point. Anyway, last thing we have here, Edinburgh men and women are both. They've just announced that both the Edinburgh men and women are to wear the same club kit. They have the ethos of one club, one team, and I have to say I'm applauding this a great deal. It's great to see Darcy and and Molly Pullman and Darcy Graham and Ewan Ashman and all that looking great in their Edinburgh kit. And I think it's been something that's been coming for some time, but it's great to see Edinburgh have actually embraced it, Alan.
Aye. And I think, if they're going out and they're calling them the same team, then they should have the same strips. They should, of course, have the same access to changing facilities and training facilities as well, which is the less cosmetic change and the less obvious one. But hopefully the SRU won't make a misstep on that one. Because they've made a misstep with women's rugby, have they?
No, I did see Adele Ferry on her Insta as not that I'm stalking her, and if anyone wants to, if anyone wants to infer that, I'm just waiting for Johnny McGinty chiming in. She was doing some weight work in the Edinburgh gym, so what looked like the Edinburgh gym that's underneath Murrayfield. So hopefully they are getting the use, and also what was mentioned in the announcement for the new Scotland coach, women's coach, was the fact that they have access to the Orium High Performance Centre. So we'll wait and see how they get on with that. But yeah, it's a great thing. And Mark, as I say, all we really need now is the wages to be starting to come in, and we should be starting to run at a good pace.
Yeah, I appreciate why that's difficult. Because the draw of the women's teams is not as big financially. It's not as big a financial draw. So, my daughter and her pal were going to go to the Edinburgh v Glasgow on the 27th, the women's game at the Hive, and they've still only opened one stand. So, they're not even filling more than a single stand in the Hive for the women's game. So I do appreciate it's difficult for the money coming in, but equally, the SRU need to decide if they want to actually be part of the women's game in the long term, because that's an investment in the product going forward. And if they don't invest now, it'll take them years to catch up, right? And we've seen how that works. That's why England are so far ahead of anybody else. Yeah,
absolutely. And Alan talking about women's rugby and women involved in rugby. Holly Davidson's been announced. I think we talked about this before. We knew it was happening, that she's been announced as the first woman to referee a men's Six Nations game. But that's going to be Italy.
Italy, Ireland.
Ireland, yes. Yeah. And that's another positive point, Alan.
Absolutely. My only sadness, and it's unavoidable, is that we'll never get her reffing us. It was fine when it was Mike Deans was the Scottish representation. We were like, we've exported Mike Dean. But now, actually, we've got one of the best refs in the world, and they'll never ref us. But fair play to Ms. Davidson. She has been utterly fantastic. It is all richly deserved. And looking forward to seeing her performance.
Well, we've got something to look forward to, because I think Matt Carley, Xander Fagerson's favourite referee, and we'll just do this.
Xander slander.
Xander was ready to. I'm going to slander Xander because I think he was going to slap Matt Carley around the head. I think, if I remember correctly, at the Glasgow game.
It's not slander if it's true, Craig. That's all.
But I'm sure we'll come back to that later. But yeah, Matt Carley's going to be refereeing one of the Six Nations games, so I'm sure we'll end up with him.
It's Wales, Scotland down in Cardiff. We've got him, and
yippee!
Tempo is on the TMO at the time as well. Yeah.
Well, we're going to lose that game then, I guess. And anyway, I love the fact everyone we had a wee chat, and we're having a wee chat in the group chat that we have, and there's the little positive notes of, actually, he's doing quite well today. He's actually referenced quite well, and then all of a sudden, holy Moses, no, Xander's going to punch him in the face.
Yeah, sorry, that was me trying. That's my Pollyanna-esque streak, trying to be positive. and I got into trouble in front of my mum on Saturday. I told him to wait and take his face for a defecatory episode, and 51, and I still got into trouble from my mum for saying that.
So that's 30 minutes talking about news and other bits and pieces. Do I have to talk about this now, Alan? Mark, do I have to really just...
Yeah, we're going to have to.
Okay.
Craig, it's okay. It's a safe space. Show us where in the pitch Edinburgh hurt you.
Well, the thing is, and if anyone follows Leslie Ramage on Twitter, you will find a fantastic Scottish Rugby podcast bingo card, but she didn't put anything in about me slagging the hell out of Edinburgh. Unfortunately, as an Edinburgh fan, no, I'm not a fan of rugby at all anymore. I forgot about that. There's nothing. You're going to get plenty of bingo points right now. Castres 33, Edinburgh 0. Edinburgh following Glasgow's lead and getting nilled at some point this season, and following their narrative for the past several seasons of great performance one week and shit performance the next week. You can mark that down, Mark, if you want, for swearing, but I just decided that's
31 and 24 seconds, Mark.
Yeah, 31 and 24 seconds that I said that Edinburgh were shit. Yeah, oh, sorry, there we go, 31 and 35 seconds.
We can't just put an explicit title on this one and give up.
I suppose, Mark, it was a youth side, right? You know, they did send the new boys down there and the young lads and some older heads that maybe were needing game time. But Edinburgh have been pretty good with Cast in the last few years. We've managed to pull out some good results against Cast, but I didn't see a nil coming.
No, I didn't see a nil coming either. I actually, as you guys know, I wasn't even going to bother watching the game, but I did watch it back when it was coming on tonight. And yeah, it was mostly young boys, but there was still enough old heads in there that I don't think that should have happened. But some of I really struggled to find much positive to say about it. I think the problem for me is that the Castres were not very good.
Yeah, because
and another team would have absolutely taken them apart. For Edinburgh to lose 33-0 was, let's call it, disappointing.
Yeah, and
Brian, you're not angry, you're disappointed.
Brian Dalglish is just saying a wee thing at the bottom there. We were lucky to get nil, but it's a difficult one because you want to promote the youth side, you want the youth side to go, but obviously, and Alan, we were 5-0 down at half time. They gave a good showing off themselves for the first half. However, the attack didn't seem to be there. Castres seemed to have everything under control. Especially, but the defence looked good. Especially like Freddie Douglas was putting some shots in there that really were. He would have been welcome in a Pro de Deux game down in France. Putting the shots in that he did. So it's a real. You look at that at 5-0 at half time. You think it's going to be. We've got this, right, Alan?
Well, someone was at work. Some of us were at work and had a bit of time over their lunch to watch the second half and settled down thinking, it's only 5-0. This is great.
So it's your fault. It's your fault. Jonah.
It is not my fault. It is the fault of Sean Everett because of the team he picked. And honestly, you shouldn't be upset about Edinburgh losing that game because Sean Everett was clearly okay with Edinburgh losing that game with the team that he picked. That wasn't a team to win. Freddie Douglas was excellent, and it'll be good experience. The other player that really impressed me was Lewis Wells. I thought he was good in defence, and actually, there's a couple of times where he made try-saving tackles in the other wings. One where he threw himself and acted essentially as a speed bump for their the big winger letting someone like I think it was McConnell come in and get him. So
Yeah.
I thought he was good. There are players that will have learned and taken important experience from it, but it had a little bit of a feeling of sacrificial lambs.
Yeah.
But Mark, the European Cup is not where, okay, fair enough. Some of the French teams and some of the South African teams have decided, right, well, you know exactly that. And Everett's just done exactly the same thing as these French teams and these South African teams. He's just gone, well, we're not going to get anywhere, so I'm going to prepare I'm going to save my boys for the 1872. But
Yeah,
it's the European Cup, man. Come on.
Yeah, no, I've read and listened to a lot about this game over the last few days, and people are saying things like, well, you need to rotate the squad and you need to give youth a chance and all this. But I'd like to add that applies to absolutely everybody, except Leinster, because Leinster have 2 squads worth of internationals. But everybody else who's operating within a normal budget has to bring youth through and has to give young lads a chance and has to rotate their squad. Everett rolled out a team of guys that have never played together before because he's not been giving the youngsters a chance. The only reason Freddie Douglas got a game was because Tooney picked him first. Let's be quite clear. If I were at all cynical, and you guys know I'm rainbows and light, I'm not cynical in the slightest, right? If I were at all cynical, I might suggest that somebody's contract was based on results in the URC and didn't matter about Europe.
Yeah.
Well,
you talk about giving youth a chance, but you might as well send the young players to Thailand because that was bloody close to euthanasia.
Yes.
But the Prince comes out of the corner punching. There we go.
I'm quite pleased with that. When you can mark that off on your bingo card.
Okay, we'll mark that off upon there. Yeah, but I think for me, yes, and that all of these things really ring true. But there's someone else, a South African coach, who's performing at a phenomenally high level with youngsters in the squad and being able to turn out huge wins and URC championships in Franco Smith. He is able to bring in those youth players. The problem we have is that we have not brought these youth players and Freddie Douglas should have been playing ages ago.
Yes.
For Edinburgh, alongside Mish or alongside Jamie Ritchie, to get the knowledge from these guys.
Yes.
You look at Connor Boyle. Connor Boyle was going to be the next big thing, and he's disappeared. Now, okay, he's gone through some injury issues, but Connor Boyle was fantastic for a period of time. What have they done with him? What have they done with Ben Healy? Ben Healy is now persona non grata at Edinburgh. We've got youngsters coming through now. And so Ben Healy's probably third or fourth in line to play at 10, who was someone who was promised the world by Townsend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I was very conscious of that. And you see the guys that Franco brings through, they get a couple of games with the rest of the Glasgow starters around them. So he brings on a young player. They know the job they're supposed to do, but they're also surrounded by more experienced players. And that means when he has to bring on 2 or 3 of them, they already have that experience. Everett hasn't been doing that.
Yeah.
He's given them the odd game here and there, and then they get to this game and he throws them all in. And I don't understand it, but it looks to me like a man that's not capable of managing a squad, if I'm perfectly honest. It's pretty straightforward, right?
Well, people were talking that his contract was secure after last week's game. After beating Toulon, and they looked ferocious against Toulon, and all of us kind of got carried away with ourselves. But there was still that bit in the back of our mind that was, but we've done this before. We've had massive reactions, and then an absolute bust the next week. And I have to say, last week was an absolute bust. And I'm not having to go at the players. I really am not having to go at the players because the players did their best, but that was a fairly young team that went out to a fairly brutal French team that are full of older, more experienced players, and it showed.
Yes, I was very conscious in our opening video there that Big Nakara was in there, and he actually ran out against Edinburgh at the weekend.
Yeah.
But yes, it's absolutely correct. We absolutely should not blame the players. I thought O'Connor's yellow card, for instance, was a travesty. I think it should have been a penalty only, but that's by the by. But equally, I'm a big fan of stats. One of the things I did notice was at 52 minutes, I watched it back on YouTube. I couldn't get it on the Premier app. So I watched it back on YouTube. So the captions were in French. And the French TV threw up on 52 minutes that in the second half, possession at 52 minutes, territory rather, was 99% in Castres' favour. 99-1% for 12 minutes of a rugby game. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah. I mean, that's similar to the odds of catching a piece, reaching earth from a high story flat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 99-1, exactly.
But I think that's the 5-0 didn't tell the whole story of the first half. The 5-0, Edinburgh were defending hard, playing hard, really tested to keep them to 5-0. And then as they tired, that's when the spaces opened up.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I got to say as well, I the last line in the notes I was typing up were towards the end of the second half. Castres had scored all of their second half points by 64 minutes, by the way. So they were scoreless for the last 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But my last note was that if they were half decent, they could have scored 2 or 3 more.
Yeah. Well, talking about comebacks and points in the second half, if we remember a few years ago in Brighton, a certain Japanese squad came back and beat the Springboks in the Rugby World Cup, and something miraculous happened at Scotstoun in the bad weather of last weekend, and Glasgow 28, Toulouse 21, a phenomenal return from Glasgow to beat everyone. I don't think there's anyone that can disagree that Toulouse are the best club side in the world, and they had their stars on show at Scotstoun, on the ice rink of Scotstoun as they called it. But to come back from so we had tries from Gregor Hiddleston, Sione Tuipulotu, Gregor Brown, and the man that started the comeback off, Josh Mackay. Toulouse had this game won at 21-0 at half-time, and Franco Smith got stuck in at half-time, and wow, what a turnaround. Mark, miracle on 34th Street, miracle in the West End of Glasgow.
Yeah. I was watching the game and I was actually posting on Blue Sky and saying, don't despair. It looks to me like Glasgow think they've got this, even towards the end of the second half. I think if it had been 14-0, I'd had far more confidence, but I still thought there was a possibility of Glasgow fighting back. But I didn't see it in such a completely dominant fashion. I thought it was just incredible, and I think it says something really strong about the belief that squad has in what they're doing, how they go about their business, in what Franco's telling them, in each other. It was just phenomenal to put 4 unanswered tries onto Toulouse in a half a rugby is just mind-blowing. Fabulous.
Yeah, it really is an unknown, Alan. Toulouse have had flaky periods, and obviously they lost out in the European Cup last year to Bordeaux, but I think from that point that Jamie Dobie, when Kapuatsu was almost in the corner and Jamie Dobie threw himself as a Rhodes, no, that's giving him a disservice. He did not just throw himself as a sleeping policeman in front of the guy. He put a tackle in and stopped him dead. That seemed to show the turnaround that Glasgow did believe. And Sione has admitted that he still believed at half-time at 21-0 down that they could win that.
I tell you, it is very interesting that this is a group of players that people have been saying are mentally weak, and there's an inherent mental weakness in Scottish players.
Yeah.
Not in Glasgow players. And you're right, I think Dobie, I think the thing that won that game was that tackle from Dobie. Because that looked like it was over and out.
Yeah, coming back from 21-0 is a difficult job. Coming back, but Argentina showed that they could do that. But coming back from 28-0 is an even worse, and I think that probably would have been the game for Toulouse if that had been scored.
Yeah, I think I think that's absolutely right. But no inherent. I mean, there was only 2 players in that side that weren't Scottish qualified. Dan Lancaster and Flash Score still has an England flag beside his name, but he's got a granny from Dumfries, so he's definitely SQ. Josh Mackay isn't Scottish qualified, and he does improve the team, but he will be SQ in November. And
is the old Australian Scottish qualified?
Sorry?
Is the old Australian Scottish qualified?
Well, one old Australian is the other old Australian, Sam Talakai, isn't Scottish qualified. But you cannot convincingly argue that Talakai is raising the quality of that team. I think he is comfortably the weakest link in that team.
Yeah, we don't really want him to be Scottish qualified, do we?
No, we struggle at tight head prop, but do you know what? Thank you. You really shouldn't. It seems that he's probably a perfectly nice man, and I'm sorry to say this, but he's just not that great round the park and not that great at and worse than not that great at scrummaging. So, yeah.
Yeah, but
it's a Scottish team, and they were mentally strong. So it's certainly not the Glasgow players that are mentally weak. And I do wonder if it's a coaching factor, shall we say?
Well, funnily enough, you're starting to preach. Hallelujah! You're preaching to the choir, Alan. What I would say, however, is Mark again and again. Now, first things first. Adam Hastings had a phenomenal game, kicking all his kicks in that weather. Fantastic. Someone who deserves a little bit. But I'm sorry to say this, and I'm going to get a tick on the bingo box as well with this. But George Horn off the bench.
Yeah.
It just shows, and if Townsend is not watching him play, why is he not watching him play? Because he would have changed that Argentina game, and he changed that game. Him and Adam Hastings.
Highly amused by Franco mentioning that in his post-match interview. That bringing Horn and Gregor Brown off the bench to make impact and change the tempo of the game was what made sure we won that. I just thought. He's a smart guy, Franco. He knows exactly what he's saying. Yeah. And good on him. Because he's right. He's absolutely correct. To have that change of tempo sitting on your bench and not use it when the game's not going your way is lunacy. Yeah,
it really is. And these guys, as I say, Josh Mackay changed, where you've got Jamie Dobie stopped a game-changing tackle. He put a game-changing tackle, and Josh Mackay scored a game-changing try. They brought on game-changing subs. The question is now, how far did Glasgow go, Alan?
Well, it'd be easy to get carried away, wouldn't it? It was a
Johnny McGinty has got carried away. So if you have seen him on socials, but anyway, carry on.
I mean, Johnny got carried away in socials as an evergreen statement anytime Scotland or Glasgow have done well, isn't it?
Although I have said once or twice that Edinburgh might win the URC, and it shows you how wrong. So I'm not going to say anything about Glasgow tonight, apart from.
To be fair, Johnny's not here to defend himself, which means we should definitely pile on and do some rucking.
So where do you think Glasgow go from here? What do you think?
I think you'll find I'm going to do what Glasgow I think will do and say it's one game at a time. They've got very difficult 1872 Cup. They recognise the quality of Edinburgh. They had a tough result against Castres, but it doesn't reflect on them as a team. And we know how dangerous they can be. And I think that I'm slightly taking the mickey, but of course that's what players who have been through sports psychology and taking the game one game at a time, that's what they say.
Yeah.
Not looking beyond, there's a game this week, that's what we're focused on. So I think Glasgow will just be playing the next game, and that's what they should be doing.
Yeah. Well, pardon me, bit of windy pops there. What we'll do is we're going to move on to our Patreon side of things. Want to thank you all for listening. We've done a little bit longer pod tonight just because it's worth. I wanted to prove to both John Anderson and Johnny McGinty that I can talk about Glasgow and not in terrible tones, and actually praise them a little bit. And they deserve a lot of praise for what they did, because I had it down that they were going to get pumped at the weekend. So I think again, I've said that Edinburgh might win the URC. Maybe I'm the Joan Allen. I don't know. So maybe
you
it's
praise them like you should.
Nice. Now that's a completely and utterly obscure reference there that a lot of people will not get, but I love that. Thank you very much. You are my weapon of choice, Alan.
So I would say I'm just a weapon.
So on that bombshell, we will move on to our Patreon side, where we're going to talk a little bit about the 1872 Cup, and also have our Santa's wishes on the Patreon. So thank you again for listening. Thank you to both Alan and Mark for joining me tonight and having a chat about this. It's been a cathartic experience for myself to exorcise the demons, and I hope you've enjoyed it. We will not be back next week because it is Christmas Day, and I know that I don't get on with my family too much, and I might end up on the podcast myself. But I think we should really leave Christmas Day to the family rather than the podcast. Am I right, boys?
I think that's pretty fair.
Okay, so
my family. Really, if you're listening, I'm only kidding. I don't mean it.
So I'll take this opportunity to already to wish you a Merry Christmas, and we might speak between Christmas and New Year. It just depends on how I'm feeling about the 1872 Cup. I might just say no, that's definitely the nail in the coffin. I'm not talking about Edinburgh ever again. But thanks to Alan, thanks to Mark, thanks to you all for joining us, and have a great Christmas.
Noli Creola Huladunya.
Yeah, happy Christmas, everyone.
Right, there's enough silence in for the edit there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm pleased I managed to get a wee bit of Gaelic. Gratuitous Gaelic into the pod.
Hey, listen, I'm up for a bit of gratuitous Gaelic. In fact, I actually would really love to be able to speak Gaelic. And I've always promised myself. I want to go into do the university, Open University, and do Scottish history. But I then thought maybe I should just try to learn Gaelic, and then I realised that unfortunately, if I try to insert anything else into my brain, important stuff like my bank card number and stuff like that will fall out of it.
My daughter had the opportunity to do Gaelic in her first year of uni, but it was so oversubscribed she couldn't get in. But she did a year's course in Doric, which I thought was quite amusing.
Oh, a bit like Quine. When I see Lara, I will definitely say that.
She might still
Push your
get
boots, Spidey.
Oh, man. Anyway, so hello to all of you in Patreon land. As usual, thank you so much for your help and support. It's great to be with you again tonight. Both Alan and Mark are with us, and we're going to have a wee chat. Now, Glasgow have announced their squad for the 1872 Cup, and it's pretty damn good. It's going to, let's just say that Franco isn't resting fucking anybody at the moment, compared to our Edinburgh coach Sean Everett. So I don't think we've got an Edinburgh team yet. He's keeping that one close to his chest. But it's going to be an interesting game at the weekend, lads.
Oh, yeah. The 1872, it always promises so much, and it is usually a mud wrestle between two teams that kind of know how to cancel each other out. And if Edinburgh win, it's good because they're the underdogs, and they've managed to beat the sort of favoured side from the West. But to be honest, I never really enjoy watching 1872 Cups. It's like watching two cousins who like each other get drunk and punch each other. It's no fun for anyone.
Well, it's better than the other way that I thought you were going about two cousins getting drunk and a different outcome, Alan.
Oh man,
that's Welsh rugby. I think that might actually be another part of the bingo card.
Well, there we go. Brian, you're pretty damn right. I'll just show you this. If it Brian Dalglish again, if it's a battle of coaches, boy, we're fucked at Edinburgh. Well, we've been fucked at Edinburgh for a long, long time with coaches. Although I see that Richard Cockrell's free now because he's been either sacked or left Georgia, but
he's leaving on the midnight train from Georgia.
Oh man, that's sharp. Fair play, mate.
Well, Georgia's been on my mind for some time.
That was a peach. I'm just going to put 20 quid in the doddy jar for this year.
No, we're going crazy here because Johnny McGinty's not here. So we can just crack on.
And the rest of the pod trying to get sweet Georgia Brown into something.
Surely sweet Gregor Brown.
Yeah, absolutely. But good on Glasgow. Obviously, they're riding high, so they're getting a lot of people who maybe don't watch rugby that often coming to their games now, especially Hampden. Looks like they're going to get quite a few people at Hampden, and I think that they need. I would rather they had, their own game, and build it. Okay, fair enough. They had Scotstoun, and we kept moaning about, they've got two home games because Murrayfield is a home game as well. But I think with Hampden, it isn't really their home, if you know what I mean, and Murrayfield isn't really Edinburgh's home. So we're kind of getting to that point where it's a much of a muchness, and the SRU win because they're making money out of it. But I think they might not be making money out of it.
The thing is, though, like we spoke about this when Edinburgh were playing in Hampden, and to a lesser extent, well, we didn't speak about it, but to a lesser extent, it happened when a less popular Glasgow were playing in Firhill. There is not the same atmosphere with 25,000 people in a 67,000-seater stadium.
I went to the Edinburgh leg last year. Or was it the year before? I can't remember. Anyway, in the last couple of years, and just found it kind of dull. I just didn't enjoy it. The atmosphere was a bit flat. The game, as you pointed out, Alan, is like watching two people you like having a fight. I'm not a fan of the 1872. I think I said to you guys, I think Glasgow will win with a bonus point at the weekend. And when they do, I'd rather they all just sit and have a beer and let Edinburgh score. The try bonus point and a losing bonus point.
Well, I think there's going to be a situation where they're going to do exactly the same again. What's going to happen is either Edinburgh are going to win this one, and they'll have a reaction. Edinburgh will come out of the blocks, beat Glasgow, say that we're going to win Europe because we've obviously beaten the European champions, and then lose the second half, and Glasgow will retain the cup because Glasgow score more points than us at Murrayfield, or it's going to be the other fucking way around. That Glasgow are going to beat us this weekend, score loads and loads of tries, and then Edinburgh will come back and win next weekend, but
with fewer tries.
And still lose the cup. It's just going to, and then it's like also you're going to get this point of, well, we know that guy's going to be really good at that, and we know that guy's going to be really, really good at that. So what we're going to do is we're going to negate all of that. So we're just going to get a kicking game to see if somebody drops the ball because it's cold and wet. So I agree. I understand where you guys are coming from about not enjoying the 1872 Cup. I did, and I have been to a couple of them and really enjoyed it. One of them was when we beat Glasgow. Everyone said Glasgow were going to beat Edinburgh, and Glasgow, that was one of the last games that Ryan Wilson played. And I have to say that was incredibly pleasing.
What do you think, Mark, persuaded Craig, the Edinburgh fan, to enjoy the unexpected win over Glasgow for Edinburgh?
Yes, this is a strange one, isn't it?
It's like what attracted you to the millionaire Paul Daniels. I was
thinking about the motorbikes at that time, it's one of those things. I don't know. I do enjoy the 1872 Cup. I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed the whole getting there and being part of it. It's nice to see Murrayfield, an Edinburgh game in Murrayfield, being more than 2,000 people in the place, and when it all goes quiet, hearing someone shouting, "You're shit!" and everyone can hear it because there's about 5 folk in their dug in the place, and Flinty, the real Flinty, not the new.
Not the imposter.
Flinty's medicine burgers now, man. Get over it.
We're not taking that new Botoxed version of Flinty is not having it. It's not right. I want them to bring back the chainmail of the Edinburgh top anyway, but that's a different story. So predictions for the weekend. You boys are both thinking that Glasgow will pump Edinburgh.
Glasgow by 17.
17? Holy shit, Al. Mark?
I think it could be closer. I think Glasgow by 10. But I think Glasgow and they'll score 4 tries.
You see, I think it's going to be an absolute fucking snorefest. I think it's going to be 10-7. To Glasgow.
Hang on. You slagged us off, but then you're like, it could be 10-7.
I'm like,
I can't believe you guys I can't believe you pair think it's going to be such a boring day. And by the way, I think it's going to be a 10-7 snorefest.
Yeah.
To be fair, I haven't been to the 1872, so I've watched it. I've always watched it on the telly. Obviously, I'm in Inverness. It's a busy time of year. I'm just not going to make it down to that. It's just, I
have to say, I think also when you were talking about, I've just had this memory just come jolting right into my forehead, and if I remember correctly, my darling daughter couldn't go to the 1872 Cup when we beat Glasgow, so we took a certain Johnny McGinty with us, and Johnny was there sitting beside us. And he was being, let's just say, he's like, "Oh, go on, Batman." You know the usual thing. "Oh, Batman," and all this, that, and the other. And he had to deal with us just absolutely slagging him to hell. 3 of us, my son, my wife, the current Mrs. Manson, and me, just pulling him apart for Glasgow getting beat. So I have to say that's probably what was more enjoyable.
I would have enjoyed that more than the 1872 Cup.
Yeah, it really was. It was what a fun
You didn't record it on video or anything on your phones because we could sell it as a Patreon extra.
I really should have. And the poor patrons, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for you all because we're going to do this big 1872 Cup preview. and we're going to talk about it, and all of us just agree that it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be like two a brother and sister kissing each other, and then it's just going to be like, that's it.
Am I right in thinking the game's on Saturday, right?
Yes.
Are they not supposed to announce their team by Thursday? Or can they get away with pushing it back to Friday?
More Friday.
They announced it very quietly. Sean Everett just opened the fridge door and whispered the team inside it, and that.
He's actually, what he's done is has announced it to all the referees and everything like that. He's just not put it on social media, and we're all such fucking suckers to social media at the moment that we can't live without it. So if it's not on social media, it's not true.
I actually think. Do you guys have thoughts on Franco announcing the team on Tuesday?
Oh, that's.
I think Franco was like. I think it's a power move, and I think it's essentially him going, you know, our team, come and see what you can do about it. I'd like to see you counteract this. I think it's entirely psychological. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, we've just beaten the best club team in Europe. We're just in the world. We're playing the same team. It's just
come and have a go if you think you're hard enough, basically.
Yeah,
that was exactly the phrase I had in my head.
Exactly. Thanks, Brian. Brian is correct. Edinburgh usually do it around noon the day before the game.
Thanks, Brian.
So we usually get it on Thursday if it's a Friday game, a Friday night lights. So as I say, apologies to our patron. That's kind of the preview over because we kind of know what's going to happen. You will maybe get a small OnlyFans Christmas Day episode of us going, really sorry, I didn't realise that was going to happen. But I don't know.
They will, however, get my Fucky Folka pun, the patrons exclusively, because it's fuck you folk around and find out, and that works in a lot of situations. It can be positive or a negative.
We're going to get so much mileage out of that one.
I've been waiting on this pun coming along, and it just slides in there, and it's like, let's just say it wasn't as impressive as I was expecting, Alan. I have to say,
the story of my life, Greg.
So, we don't have hands in the ruck today because, it's nearly Christmas and we have to be a bit positive. I've had all my negative out in the public pod and how I'd rather talk about Claudia and Tess leaving Strictly Come Dancing than talk about Edinburgh Rugby and rugby as a whole, because I really didn't want to talk about Glasgow, but I have to because,
you're a professional at your heart.
Am I really a professional? I keep getting the fucking time of day wrong on the fucking podcast.
I now tell people I'm a semi-professional rugby opinion haver.
I just say I'm a contributor.
We get boot money.
I don't know if I've probably told this story before about on the podcast, and it's Johnny McGinty. But I remember he talked about being a contributor on the podcast so much at a Scotland-South Africa game that there's two boys in front of us turned around and said, "Look, we'll fucking listen to your podcast if you fucking shut up about it."
That's awesome.
So yeah, I know John Anderson has certain words to say about Scotland fans, but sometimes I just love them to pieces. Anyway,
I think I might have got recognised at the New Zealand game by someone because he did a double take. He did a very clear sort of double take at me. Either that, or they were thinking, "Christ, Phil Jupitus has let himself go."
Either that. That boy was looking at my arse the other day.
No, definitely not old enough to be my patient, and I don't think they were one of my former resident doctors. Although I've met a few of them at Murrayfield when I.
First, hold on, wait a minute. How many resident doctors' arses do you look at, Alan?
Not answering that, Craig.
For the purposes of licensing.
So, for the purposes, given my fairly senior role with training, absolutely none. Let's be clear.
Yes. Because, I don't want to go all Trump and sue you for $5 billion. So, anyway. Him and Scott Cummings. Imagine him and Scott Cummings with their tiny hands having to go at each other. Amazing.
To be honest, I'd pay good money to watch it because Scott Cummings had battered him.
Slap the shit out of him.
Oh, I mean that. Yeah, honestly, Craig, you're not allowed to excite me like that on the pod.
So we're going to do our Christmas wishes, and I think Alan, I'll let you take this one over because this is you. This is all you. So I'll let you introduce this Christmas wishes and what you want us to do.
Well, I think we could go around a few times just talking about our Santa list. You know, things that we'd like to see. For example, I would like Santa to bring my friend Craig back the joy in the game of rugby for him.
Never happened. Never.
I would like him to bring a new coach for Edinburgh because that'll be nearly as good.
Mark, come on. What is on your Santa's list? Go on, another one for the Santa's list.
If we can just wish for anything, I wish that Scotland would still be in competition to get first or second in the Six Nations on the last weekend. I don't even care if we don't get it. It would be nice to be playing for something.
Yeah, I'd love to just say, right, boys, we've not got tickets, but let's go and find a pub in Perth where we can all just kind of meet in one place and go and watch the Scotland game, and there's a chance we could win the Six Nations.
Everything riding on it.
Yeah.
I actually know a good pub because that's where we had to spend the Argentina game after my daughter's boyfriend's tyre burst. So there's the Foundry in Perth. That would be excellent for it.
That'd be fabulous, and we'd be upside down behind the telly within 20 minutes, probably, the state of us and our drinking chops.
Speak for yourself, Mr.
Speak for yourself. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm halfway through the third Diet Coke, and you're halfway through the third pint of whiskey. I
will say that the bottle of Tarnavulin was. I mean, it was already. I poured my dad and I too many of it in the Glasgow game. Hence, telling Matt Carley to go away and take his face for a shite in front of my mum.
I do wish that's one of my wishes for my Santa's list is that the standard of refereeing gets a little bit better in the URC, the Six Nations, the European Cup, the World Cup. We've all, if we could replicate a few Holly Davidsons, and what's the other guy's name?
Luke Pearce.
Luke Pearce. I quite like Luke Pearce.
I like Luke Pearce. I think he's the heir apparent to Wayne
Barnes.
Although I'm finding that he might. I'm worried that he might get to a Matt Carley-esque, making it all about himself at times. But I think he makes good decisions.
So yeah. I like him. While we were chatting there about what would be great for the last weekend. The last weekend we are in Dublin playing Ireland, and Luke Pearce is the ref. So
I'm going to go Kevin Keegan on this one. I would love it if we could beat them in Ireland.
I would
love it if I beat them. That would be that. Honestly, I would. This year, they are my England. I would, if we have a shit Six Nations, I've been embarrassed by Argentina, but if we could teabag fucking Ireland, I would be a happy guy.
That might be the end of Johnny and Patricia Vieira's friendship, though. That might be the end of that. I find that Johnny would not be gracious in victory, would he?
Oh no, he won't be.
I do find that there's a lot of Irish people I chat to on the socials, and they're generally nice and funny and engaging when they're winning.
Yes. Their
tone changes somewhat when they're not.
Oh, by the way, did you watch the Leinster game at the weekend?
No, I didn't.
James Lowe. Holy shit. He had a fucking shocker.
I've seen people posting about that, actually. But I
watched 25 minutes or 30 minutes of it, and he gave away a try, missed a couple of particularly, significant tackles, made bad decisions, hit a couple of kicks straight out into touch, and, he was having a fucking disaster, and it's like, you know, not that I want to gloat about that, because I'm sure he's a really nice guy, and you know, when we get past the bullshit, and I think it's the same with Ryan Wilson. Once you get past the bullshit with Ryan Wilson, you still just find out someone who's a bit of a thug and batters folk in the fucking kebab shop.
I think both Ryan Wilson and James Lowe are built in a bed of solid cunts. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bring up that Ryan Wilson's the one that invited whenever a new Fijian player arrived in Glasgow, he put them up and made sure they came to family events and all that kind of thing.
That was Dave Rennie.
No.
No, listen. I'm sure he is a phenomenal team guy, and I'm sure he is, you know, I'm sure if it's in his interest for you to be his friend, I'm sure he'll look after you and be a phenomenal guy. But anyway, that's a different story. I'm not going to get back into this because I was starting to get a bit positive with Christmas, and now I'm getting a bit negative again. Any more Santa's presents? Come on, Alan.
I would quite like, dear Santa, if you could please deliver me an 80-minute Scotland performance. That's what I would like.
Now you're just in fucking fairy tale land. That's just
shy kids get no sweeties, Craig.
I had as my second one. I wish Scotland would close out a tight game at the end, and it's pretty much the same story, right?
Yeah.
Because to jump onto that, one of my Christmas wishes is that Edinburgh put a 6 or 7 game winning streak in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go for 2 games.
That'd be nice.
Well in games.
Yeah. Well, but there is a way they could probably solve that problem, and that's get a new coach. But that's I can't.
Franco, then
that would be my first one of getting your joy back in rugby.
Well. It is coach led, I think, because I think I'm actually quite buoyant about Mr. Fuku. I'm just going to say that because if I say Sione, then people are going to start to think I'm becoming a Glasgow fan and I'm chasing the wins. But I think the new Scotland coach depends on who he puts in place, and it also depends very much on what Gemma Fay does with Scotland women. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I think it would be. I think he's a positive coaching placement. What I'm worried about is there's 2 looming negative coaching placements within Scottish rugby, and that is Edinburgh and Scotland at the moment. So if Santa's going to do anything, I'd like him to fix those 2 problems.
Johnny would. So our Glasgow supporting fellow podmates would probably want us to say that they would want them to sort the Scotland thing after Glasgow's season's over.
After they win the European Cup, because obviously we're going to.
Well, absolutely.
I genuinely think, and we were talking about it earlier on the main pod, I genuinely think Glasgow are capable of winning all their home games. If they won that one against Toulouse, I think they are capable of winning all their home games. The problem is games are played home and away.
Yeah. It'd be nice to see them get, I have to say it, don't get me wrong, I'm an Edinburgh fan and that's fine, and we all laugh about it, and we all laugh about the fact that you think I don't want to win. I'm happy that they beat Toulouse. What I'd really like to see them do is beat Leinster away.
Yeah.
Something like that. Do what we did to Munster.
I think with the way Leinster are at the moment, I think Glasgow will win against Leinster in them, and I think they're getting closer each day, home and away.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, you got anything else?
No, I think that was about it for me, because we've pretty much discussed all the stuff I was after. Yeah, coach for Edinburgh, please.
Yeah, Alan, you what?
I had one more. I would quite like a certain podcaster from the Egg Chasers to be visited by 3 ghosts this Christmas and change his ways as a result.
Yeah, again, I think you're living in a different world. I think it's, You know how
Yeah,
we
no,
always,
I know I am.
always talk about lads culture, and there's this sort of what's that guy that was under arrest for a long time, and then he's come back out. He got released by Trump.
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate. You know, there's this sort of culture that's gone through, especially over the last 5 years of men regaining their manliness. It's not manly to be who these guys, and you know, you're not a man just because you want to talk, you want to talk shit, and be assholes. So yeah.
I genuinely.
But also, oh, sorry, Mark.
No, I was going to say I genuinely think. You guys know I stopped listening to Egg Chasers several years ago. Before I couldn't stomach it.
I'm not their audience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we shouldn't give them much in the way of promotion. But if any of you folks out there in podcast land haven't heard what they said, I think they've crossed a line this time, and I think they should discontinue. I genuinely do. I think this one was way too far.
Yeah. No, I half of me wants to tell everyone about it. Other half of me wants, well, probably 60% of me wants to say, "Fuck off! I'm not giving them the time." So I'm not going to give them the time.
I mean, if you search it, there's a Reddit. It's in our rugby union and Reddit. You can listen to it and see what you think.
Yes.
One of the reasons I'm asking that individual to change their ways is so that Santa goes back and goes, "So, okay, hang on, 80-minute performance for Scotland? I think we might be able to do that."
Here's where you can win.
Yeah, I want a new coach for Edinburgh. No, let's revisit that 80-minute performance for Scotland. Anyway,
I think that might be the most achievable.
Yeah. Well, I have one last one, and it's a big on my list, and it's I'd like to see. I was going to say a Scottish professional women's team win the Celtic Challenge, but I've got a feeling. I'm sorry, but I'm going to go the other way and say I'd like to see Edinburgh win the Celtic Challenge this year. I think they've got the squad and the ability to do it. I think Glasgow finally, and last year they beat Edinburgh, and they started to take. I just felt they didn't take it. They hadn't taken it that seriously. The first year they started, but they certainly have put a lot of fantastic players into the squad this year, and I think they've got a good chance. They can move forward. But Shanks has got Claire Cruikshank has got quite a squad put together for Edinburgh this year, and it would be nice to see them show the promise they showed in the first season, less of season 2. So that's a wee wish list for me.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, and irrespective of our sometimes morose temperament when it comes to women's rugby, it is growing from strength to strength. It's getting better. Yes, you need to invest for it to continue that upward motion, but it is getting better. I was very conscious that, as you guys know, I was down looking at a house in the Borders at the weekend, and I didn't get back in time because I was going to go to the women's under-18 final, which Biggar won, and the captain of Biggar is actually the sister of Poppy Clarkson, who now plays for Glasgow. So you're beginning to see these women coming through. And it's
well, one thing I will say, I have to say this, and that Biggar didn't start at the top at adult rugby for women all those years ago. They started at the crossover point from when girls stopped playing at the same time as boys and start putting their team together, and they put a phenomenal plan together, and they are seeing that now reaping the benefits, that they're developing a good group of girls and women.
Well, I know. I mean, the Clarkson sisters, and I know there's a couple of others as well, travel from Straven to Biggar to train twice a week and play once a week, and that's not the easiest of trips,
No, that's for sure.
I've got a big soft spot for Biggar because that's where my daughter made her debut for Highland, was down at Biggar, and it was just Highland won quite handily, and she's 19, so she's the age group a year ahead of this group of girls that have won the cup. So Highland won quite handily, and from that they've gone to win the cup. So I think they should be very proud of themselves, to be honest. It was a real pleasant experience being down at the club.
They have I like the Biggar clubhouse as well. I don't know if your daughter played in the main pitch, but the Biggar clubhouse just has massive panoramic windows.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, Highland have that as well. I have to say, Highland is a pleasant place to go to.
Highland's not an old school clubhouse because they had to get moved when they built the new Southern Distributor Road. Highland did rather well out of that, shall we say?
Yes. Well, in fact, they did have cleaning machinery from me when I used to be a rep on the road. But that's a different story.
The last time I was at Biggar, I was down in Peebles. And Peebles clubhouse is halfway down the high street.
Well, that's fun. The How of Fife were like that for a long time, and a lot of us were upset when they closed the clubhouse. The clubhouse was right in the middle of Cooper, and the park was a good almost a mile away. So that was always when we closed that up and moved the clubhouse up to Duffus Park. So there was a bit of it was just a stalwart sort of place. It was just a place right in the middle of town. But were you going to see something, Alan?
No, I was just saying that was a bingo card when you mentioned How of Fife. That was
yeah. Right. Well, at that, we will call it quits. Thank you for the year to all our patrons. Thank you so much for the year you've given us. It's been a challenging year. It's been a very difficult year for some of us, and just want to thank you for all your support and all your work, all your time with us. We are nothing without our patrons, and we really appreciate everything. And let's first things first. Thank you to Alan and Mark. We've had a great year, lads, and it's been great to have you added on to part of the podcast. And it's and we're very lucky to have you both. And thank you to all of you. Have a great Christmas. Have a great New Year. We might talk before New Year. I don't know. But have a great time, and we will speak to you. If we don't speak to you between Christmas and New Year, we will speak to you in the new year when we will talk about the 1872 Cup and how much, Edinburgh won one game, Edinburgh and Glasgow won one game, and then Glasgow won the thing because they scored enough points. So we can pretty much, I don't mean to be like a soothsayer or a...
Given the quality of my predictions, Craig, in the last little while, I'm looking forward to the 1872 Cups, given that we've all said they're going to be dreadful. So
yeah, it might be very, very good for just one side. That's the problem. Anyway, thank you very much. Have a great Christmas, and we'll see you all soon.
Night, folks. Thanks.
Goodbye, folks. Have a great Christmas.